Hello there, Mr. Lee here. Um, Today's lesson is quite a symbolic lesson, really. Symbolic because it's your last Sikhism lesson, possibly ever. Symbolic because it's your last year 8 lesson on RS. It's symbolic because it's all about symbols. It's all about symbols. That's why it's symbolic. The symbol that most people identify the Sikhs with is this one. This is the symbol. Let's have a look at it. And there it is. That's what you'd see on flags on the top of Gurdwaras. And for us, we look at it and go, yeah, it's a symbol of the Sikh religion. But for those who have studied this a bit more, hopefully it would also remind them of the certain responsibilities that comes with being a Sikh. And some of these things we've actually met before, or these symbolicism, like, on the surface, if you have a look at it, you can just see two swords and one double-edged sword and a ring. But the symbolicism means that they mean more than just that. So, for example, this is the double-edged sword, and what that shows is the power of God. It shows that justice on one side and freedom on the other side. I suppose you have to be willing to fight for it in order to get your freedom. Hence, there's two sides to it. And God represents both being fair in how the world is, but also like allowing people personal choice within this world. Hence, the double-edged sword. You've got the chakra, which was also once a weapon. And the chakra is a circle. And this circle here, if you remember, can you remember the kara that goes on your wrist? What that symbolizes? It symbolizes that the power of God has no beginning and no end. It's just one circle, continuous with no end to it. And then you've got the two swords, the two kirpan. And what the kirpans represent is power. Okay. And it reminds people to defend their faith, defend their rights to be Sikhs. And also it reminds people of God's power. And what you see is that it's almost quite, if you look at it, all these things could be a weapon. And in the last lesson, we talked about the history of Sikhism. And so what this reminds the Sikhs, first and foremost, is their need to defend themselves and their rights and their community. And when the Sikhs see this, they shouldn't just see themselves as a unit, but as part of a whole group of people worshipping God in the same way and looking out for other people who do the same. That's where you get a great community of the Sikhs. And with any luck, any symbols that you see, anything with any sort of significance to people, they should have some sort of meaning and they should remind people of behaving in a certain way. Let me try and think of an example. Right, okay, for example, you've got like the school shield here. I don't know if you could just see that. This is a bit outdated now, this document, but this is the school shield. Why the three dolphins? I don't know if you've done this in skills, but the three dolphins represents the fact that Sir John Lemon, who is the founder, where is Sir John Lemon? Oh yeah, there. That's his name on your school's name there. He is someone who made his money as part of the company of fishmongers. If you look in the history of the school, when he went to London and became rich, he became rich in a group of people who are called the Worshipful Company of Fishmongers, hence the three fish, and hence the fact that our newsletters is called the Dolphin. Now, I don't know how much, admittedly, you in this day and age, and the school has been founded for over 400 years or so. I don't know how much you identify with that. And that's also an issue perhaps with having these sort of symbols and identifications. When a Sikh sees this symbol, yeah, they would see it as Sikhism, but can they personally identify with it? That's the question. Or perhaps, let's take this other symbol. Joe Gomez here. Say hi to Joe Gomez. Liverpool player. If I haven't mentioned already, champions of England, champions of the world, and champions of the Europe. As well, at the time that I'm filming this anyway. If you look at the Liverpool symbol here, it was renewed a few years ago. Can you see my head? Yeah, that's better. It was renewed a few years ago, and the most significant part is this bird here. Now, Liverpool is a team that bears its city's name, and this bird is called the liver bird. It's like the symbol of the city. So a football club that bears the name of the city and bears the symbol of the city. And nowadays, if you go to Liverpool, and in the most prominent place along the River Mersey in the centre of Liverpool, on the Liver building, you can still see this symbol.
Let's go out for a wander to see what sort of signs of identity and commitments there are around town. And let's have a little wander around our lovely town of Beccles. Beccles, that great place by the Broads with a lovely marshland on the back. If you have a look at the sign, it shows that Queen Elizabeth I was granting the town charter to John Bass, a local person. And that was in response of the misuse of the marshland just to the north of the Beccles Quay. I wonder how many people realise that when they see the town signs around the town, and also when they pick up a copy of the council newsletter known as the Charter. Perhaps more of us are likely to identify more with the Union flag, a combination of the English, Scottish and Irish flag, originally based on the flags of the saints. But do we really think religiously when we look at these flags? Or do we really have certain other sort of passions? Maybe it's sports? Well, let's take a turn down to College Meadows, where Becclestown FC plays. On their shirts is the badge featuring the wherry, which is a traditional ferry sailing vessel where trade is conducted along the Broads, reflecting the heritage of the town in which they play. On some of the badges you even see a hornet on the sign, reflecting the fact that the team were born out of the traditional Becclestown FC and a merger with the Hornets. So more reflecting the history of the football club perhaps, but also showing a local tradition with the town. Not so much about the footballing prowess that it might inspire though. The same can be said on the other side of town at the Becclestown Swimming Club, also known as the Kingfishers, with the Kingfisher as their symbol. Kingfisher is something that might be seen on the Waveney River next to where the team practices at the Lido, so that might be a local connection. But Kingfishers are also a good symbol for a swimming club, given how quickly they fly past you. They almost go past in a flash, and it's very hard to see them sometimes. For groups like Becclestown Football Club or the Swimming Club, or even Becclestown itself, the school or the country, a flag or a symbol might come up because it's got some suitable meaning behind it. But actually what people focus on is not so much the meaning, but the fact that it unites a group of people together. So when you look at it, you remember maybe all the good times spent together or what the group means to you. For some people though, they actually have to wear a set of uniform because not just because of the identity, but also because of practical reasons. So if you serve in the fire service, for example, you need that because it would help save you and also is useful for the public to identify you. So it is with a policeman. For policemen and fire service, people need to really work together as a team in order to get things done safely and more effectively. And if you're training to be a cadet, you're also training to be working as a team and working for each other in order to make any jobs that you have to do as safe for everyone as possible. So people put on uniform, they represent groups which have certain symbols associated with them, they are part of this community, and yet For a lot of people, it may well be that they're yet to discover what these symbols mean. And while they enjoy being part of the community, they may not necessarily know fully what the meanings are. It could be the same for Sikhs. They may be wearing the 5Ks and they may be doing all the things that Sikhs as a community do. That is important because I guess that shows commitment. But is it enough just to show that you're doing it without knowing why you're actually doing it? That's something that doesn't just confront the Sikhs necessarily, but anyone that seeks to have certain identity to represent them and also seek to be part of any groups. And that's the question to you. What's your identity if you have one? Do you know what that means to yourself? Do other people know what values are represented by the identity that you choose? And when you become part of a group, is it just because there's a group mentality to it that you like? Or do you actually like the values and the dynamics and the atmosphere of the group that you're part of? One more thing. Do the uniform or the kits that you wear actually encourage you to behave in a certain way? When you put on a sports kit, do you feel you're invincible? When you put on a uniform for school, do you feel that you need to behave or be subservient?